first understand what we are talking about today. So we are going to be talking about multilingual and cross-cultural communication. Communication in itself is a huge and a heavy topic, let me tell you that. And before I talk more about it, let's understand what cross-cultural communication and multilingual communication means. It's important. Now, right now, as I can see, all the 117 participants that we have are from different cultures, are from different countries, and belong to different linguistic backgrounds. That's the best part about this session, and that's a great initiative as well. So through this, what we understand through this topic is how we can bridge the gap and build better connection. Right. So to just kickstart this topic, I'm going to be showing you a video. Please watch the video and let's discuss about it once we're done.
Cultural diversity is about accepting and respecting people's differences. After all, in order to communicate effectively, you need to understand your audience and deliver your message in a way that will make the most sense to your audience. So, when the audience is culturally diverse, the challenge is to understand their differences and be sensitive to how your message will be received. Let's explain 4 ways to communicate better in today's diverse workplace. 1. Keep your language clear and simple, as you may not share the same first language. Avoid jargon, slang terms, and colloquial expressions. 2. Different cultures have different non-verbal forms of communication. So, make sure that you are not ignorant of differences in body language. For example, consider personal space and touching habits of different cultures. Consider how appropriate handshaking, embraces, or direct eye contact is. 3. To make sure that you understand perfectly well, paraphrase or repeat what you hear. This will minimize misunderstandings. 4. Be open and inclusive of other cultures by getting to know colleagues from different cultural backgrounds. This will help build relationships. As you get to know their cultures better, you will also communicate more effectively with colleagues. Communicating effectively in a culturally diverse environment requires tact and sensitivity. So, the better you know other cultures, the more effectively you can communicate in a diverse workplace.
All right. Now, when we talk about communication, when we talk about different cultures, what exactly do we mean and what did we understand through this video? Simple. Multilingual means multilingual meaning multiple languages known to each other. That is keeping it simple. You can speak multiple languages. I can speak multiple languages. So when a person can speak more than 1 or 2 languages, that's called multilingual. Being multilingual, understanding every language. What does this do? This makes your life very easy in connecting and building connections eventually. And when we talk about cross-culture, this platform is the best platform to introduce cross-culture communication. It's nothing but, communication between people like us, all of us, who are from different cultural backgrounds, different nationalities. I'm sure that all of us are from different generations also. So the slang used by Gen Z today and the millennials that we used to use are 2 different things, but yet we're able to talk to each other. Okay, so let me talk about communication in general. So communication does not have to be verbal. It can be verbal and non-verbal as well. So when we say non-verbal includes a lot of gestures, eye contact, knowing the body language, and it is also about understanding the tonality. When we are speaking, we also talk about tonality and the choice of words that we are discussing. It's very important that we, understand cross-culture or communicate better to create meaningful connections, to avoid misunderstanding, and to foster mutual understanding. It helps you to basically interact to get better opportunities in future. And trust me, this is one of the things that I learned in my past experiences as well with Lenskart, wherein I learned Hindi. Even though I am born and raised in Delhi, which is primarily a Hindi-speaking state, the Hindi that is used by Indians across the country is very different. So when I was working with Lenskart, I had the opportunity to work with multilingual people, and therefore I could also learn a lot from them. on to the next one. Let's talk about why multilingual or cross-cultural communication is important.
Yeah.
What does it do? It basically gives you 4 different aspects to it. So it's very important. What you will develop is a powerful brain. Our brain, trust me, it's a CPU of our body. Right? Now, when we talk about the CPU, the central processing unit, when it is able to process so many information so easily, you can easily juggle between activities. You can juggle between regions. Traveling becomes easier, it becomes exciting. And as a traveler myself, I can tell you, it's so much fun to learn about different places and cultures when you know the language. It also develops a lot of cultural understanding. See, when we have different cultures with us, just like we do have right now, and I'm sure like all of us have different, ways of working, different ways of, different thought process in our culture. So when you learn a new language, or let us suppose when you learn about a new culture, see what happens is we get to know their perspective, things that may mean to us. So for example, I may think that smiling is a polite way, but somebody else in different cultures, smiling may not be appropriate without any actual reason. So we need to understand why it is like this, and it also helps us to build a relationship. When you know a lot of languages, it also gives you a sense of confidence. How does one build confidence? Very simple. मुझे हिंदी नहीं आती. I don't know English. These are 2 things that we are always worried about. And English is one such language which has become a problem for most of us. Or we feel that it is a problem, and trust me, it is not. It's just another language that we can learn. It's not a form of communication, and it should never bring your confidence down at all. Communication means being able to express yourself and ensure that the other person understands what you are saying. You can do that by writing, by expressing, by gestures. There are multiple ways to engage in a meaningful conversation. And if you understand that, if you're able to build that connection, it also gives you a sense of confidence, and that's where the comfort comes. And yes, diverse friendship days around. So let's talk more about friendship. When we talk about diverse friendships, the more languages you speak, the more people you interact with. The more people you interact with, of course, you build a lot of connection. And that's what this is all about. For you guys, as I understand, like everybody here in this platform, I understand that you guys are all from different firms and all different work. The best part is when you're able to, talk to each other. In my journey as a trader, I've spoken to people from Philippines, people from India, of course, people from UAE, Middle East. There's so much of culture in every country. It's very rich. It's so much fun to share those stories, and that's how you create friendship. When you share stories, when you communicate with them, that's what is importance of multilingual. In terms of industry, when you are multilingual, when you are able to, communicate with cross-cultural people, it develops a lot of opportunities, be it in India or be it abroad, within the country and outside of the country as well. It actually creates an opportunity for all of you, a better opportunity for all of you to get connected, to be known as well, and to stand in a... So let's talk about now. See, with every positivity, there are always 2 coins, 2 sides to a coin. With every positive, there's always a negative, or as we say, there's yin and then there's yang. That's what life is all about. If there's good, there's bad as well. Similarly, if there are advantages to something, there is also challenges. But challenges does not mean that you cannot overcome it. Challenges are really easy to overcome. Let's talk about what challenges you can face when it comes to multilingual teams or just in general, multilingual people. There's 4 major ones, right? The first one is language barriers. I think within the country, also across, we face this challenge every day. Language barrier is one of those that we have now cracked. When we say we have cracked, I think we have empowered ourselves through technology, which also is one of the challenges, primarily. But when you use technology right, that's why we have Google Translator, we have different types of translating apps, which can immediately translate any language into English or the language that you possibly understand. So language barrier is one of the challenges that you might face, but it's not difficult to overcome. Then there are cultural differences. Now this is a vast and a very important point. When I say cultural differences, this is where you can show empathy. This is where you need to also understand to be able to overcome this. Well, see in the next slide how we can overcome this one. Let's talk about time zones. I think the 113 participants here, we all are in different time zones. If I'm not wrong, most of us are in Philippines time zone, which is, if I'm not wrong, is night time there. Some of us are in the evening time zone. Some of us have woken up early in the morning to attend this call. So time zone can be a challenge to learn. And of course, we all are lazy in our own way. We possibly like to sleep early, or we don't like to wake up early. I clearly do. So that can be a challenge to communicate. And further, if we talk about technology, abhi internet clear nahi hai. Right now, most of you can tell me that I'm not clearly audible. So technology, as much advantageous as it is, it's clearly a hindrance too. So let's see how we can actually overcome these. Shankit, you move on? Okay. Now, before I talk to you about overcoming these challenges, can we pause the slide, please? I would just want everybody to put on chat one unique thing about your culture that you would like everybody here in the audience to know. Can you pause the slide? I want everybody to tell me, all right, can everybody put on chat, or most of you can put on chat, what is different about your culture and one thing that you're proud of about your culture? Nice. Assalamu alaikum. Lovely. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. All right. Po and Oppo. So, Maria, I can see that you've mentioned Po and Oppo. Can you just give with manner, respectful, Radhe Radhe? Jai Shri Ram is something that we all are aware.
Yeah, Maria can unmute their mic.
Lovely. Maria, you can just tell us a little bit about Po and Oppo, and please tell us all where you're from.
I'm from Philippines, and we use po and opo to respect people, especially elders. So it's like I respect you po. If we use it even even in English.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You use in English po and opo.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
So po is respect for elders, and opo is for, again, respect for elders. How is it different?
I think it's just really unique because I've never heard. Of course, it's Philippine language.
Lovely.
I don't know. I feel like it's really unique that we respect people by using po and opo.
Amazing. Thank you, Maria, for sharing that.
So if you hear people using that means that they're Filipino and they respect you.
Absolutely. Lovely, Maria. Thank you so much. I think next time we hear po and opo, we would know the meaning of it. So thank you so much for sharing it with us. Anything else that is very different or unique in terms of culture? One thing I'm reading here is I love how versatile my country is and how accepting we are to our culture and other cultures. I think the world has turned to it. And Shivanshi, thank you so much for sharing this. Our country entirely is that. We have different cultures in our country. I think more than anything, India is a country with rich cultures, and we all are proud of it, about it. See, the one barrier that we just overcame with Maria and with everyone that you guys have mentioned on the chat is being open-minded and learn about different cultures. That's exactly what is the first and foremost thing. See, to overcome any challenge, to overcome any kind of differences in culture, the first is learn about the culture. The more you learn about the culture, the better you will have an understanding towards that culture. You will be open-minded. When I say be open-minded, it means that you need to have a listening ear. You need to avoid stereotypes. You may have heard a lot of, and we do hear it. We hear a lot of insights. We hear a lot of things about different cultures. That culture has this culture has that. Let's avoid that. There's one saying that I have, genuinely followed in my life, and which I would like to share with all of you, is the more actively you listen, the next point, the better you will be able to understand. And always remember, listen to understand and not to respond. When I say this, I mean empathize with people. Empathize, understand their issues, understand their culture, be accepting, be adapting, and be open-minded. And that's how you learn about different cultures. Most importantly, for anybody to be able to understand what anyone is saying or meaning, you need to use plain language. Imagine this entire session happens in a slang, in a different jargon, complicated, possibilities. How would you wouldn't be able to understand a word. We kept it in English purely because most of us here understand the language, easier for everybody to understand, which is why we are using English. Now, when I say English also, it has to be the most simplest of English to be understood. So remember to learn about different cultures, be open-minded, avoid stereotypes, listen actively, empathize with people, and use plain languages. Now, when I say empathize, I would like to show you a video. Shrang, a very powerful video that I saw once about empathy, about understanding without even speaking a word. I think this video is going to help you a lot.
Come on.
वाह, नया कुर्ता, ये तो वह अच्छा लग रहा है। थैंक यू।
गरम समोसे, जलेबी गरम। अरे क्या कर रहे हो?
आज मेरी पेशानी पे किस्मत ने चूमा है, आज मेरी पेशानी पे किस्मत ने चूमा है। माहे मुक़द्दस में रोशन जहाँ है, माहे मुक़द्दस में रोशन जहाँ है।
जलेबी नहीं है
ना?
फरिश्तों ने आकर किया समा खुशनुमा है।
हमारे लिए
बाकी ये सब इन प्यारे बच्चों के लिए है।
चूमा है, आज मेरी पेशानी पे किस्मत ने चूमा है। आज मेरी
किसी की मदद करना भी एक इबादत है, और मदद करने में अगर दाग लग जाए तो दाग तो अच्छे हैं। इस रमजान आप भी अपने बच्चों को मदद करने की तरगीब दें। लॉग ऑन टू surfexcel.pk।
Everyone is, yes. This video entirely talks about what we just spoke about: empathy, respect, non-verbal communication, without even genuinely communicating to the guy that he's going to be helping him. The kid just did it. And that's the best part about communication. It's the best part about language. The three things that I would like to tell you on the last note before we wrap up the PPT and open up for questions is, remember to always observe. And this is something that I really, really call it as OLA, O-L-A. It's observe, listen actively, and ask relevant questions. To be able to communicate with anyone globally, if you do these three things, trust me, you'll be able to talk to anyone. It'll be easier for you when you ask relevant questions. How do we ask relevant questions? It's a simple thing. You just have to pick up from where the other person has left. In the sense, you hear the other person, listen to the other person, pick up the question from where they have ended their answer. Observe what you observe, their body language, their expressions, their hand movements, their gestures. That is what you should observe. I think with that note, I'll open it for quiz. Any questions?
Oh, I think before we jump to the questions, we'll take some questions that we have parked in the Q&A box. And if you would like to ask the question directly, you can raise your hand and can ask directly to Vijayalakshmi. So we'll pick up the first question that we have is okay, Salma wants to learn good communication. So I think that all that you have shared is all about great communication. Anything that you want to add to this, Vijayalakshmi or Salma? I think you're satisfied with what you have learned. And then
I think Swati has covered most of it, and thank you so much, Swati. Salma, I would also suggest that, to be able to learn good communication, you also need to start interacting. Try and interact with people, take feedbacks like already Swati has mentioned here, and be confident. Avoid using fillers and talk to people. And don't be afraid. Don't be scared if you are, if you're stuck somewhere, just don't get conscious. Keep talking. It's okay. Nothing is wrong. Nobody is wrong in communication.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, Shivanshi, right?
Shivanshi.
Hi, Shivanshi.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for conducting this whole webinar. It's very helpful. But, ma'am, I would like to ask, as you said, that communication is a key. But if we feel like that someone is offending or someone is trying, not doing something according to our culture, how do we say that you are not appropriate here without trying to offend them or without trying to be a rude person to them?
Okay, so let me just paraphrase what you just mentioned, Shivanshi. So you're saying that without necessarily sounding rude or coming across as rude, how do we enlighten everybody or, inform everybody about our cultural appropriation? Am I right in understanding the question?
Yes, and if something is not according right to me, like a physical touching and all the way smiling and flirting, so how do I tell them without offending them?
Okay, so let me pick up the first part of it. Let's talk about the culture first. If let us suppose something you find or it sounds culturally inappropriate to you, first try to understand whether the other person understand about your culture. First, educate the other person about your culture in a very polite way. You do not necessarily have to come across as rude. You can always be confident, be polite, and educate them with the right answer, or educate them about the right cultural appropriation that at that particular time. And on the second part of it, which you had asked about the smiling and physical touch, I would genuinely suggest no. Say no and stand your ground. That is something that I would really tell you, Shivanshi. I hope this answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am.
So Vijayalakshmi, in your own experience, I know you have trained cross-cultural teams. What are the challenges that you have come across while dealing with people across different geographies and cultures?
So I'll tell you a story of when I actually trained in Middle East. So Middle East is a country which generally has diversity and inclusion as a major part of its, its workplace. Now, when I say workplace, their workplace has to be 10% of diversity and inclusions. And that's when I met cross-cultural people. So I met a few Russians, a lot of Philippines in Dubai, and then, I had Indians there, and I met a lot of different country people. And it was a room full of 20 odd people that I was addressing to. And I myself am from India, And India is a culturally rich and different country. So the challenges that I faced was, one, understanding their language. So even if they were speaking English, what happens is the English that we speak, the accent that we speak in, possibly can be a little difficult for us to understand. That was one of the things that I faced as a challenge. So you need to speak slow, very clearly, and it is better to always paraphrase. Paraphrasing is something, I think this also answers one of the questions here. So paraphrase, whether you have understood, repeat what the other person has said so that you are also able to know whether you have understood it correctly. If not, paraphrasing will help you to also go ahead and help the other person know that you have gotten to know or understood what they have said. So paraphrase, most important. When talking to someone with an accent, it is important that you paraphrase. If we talk about, one of the things that the challenges that you had mentioned is getting people on the same page. All of us have different thought process. Every culture has different, every culture is different in its own way. So matching the timelines, bringing people to the same thought. The one thing that can do that is compassion and empathy. I think that's what works the best. If you're polite, if you respect the other person as a human being and not as a different culture, you'll be able to interact more openly. And that's what being open-minded means. Just interact with the other person, with any person, as though you want to be interacted with. So speak to anyone, talk to everyone the way you want to be spoken to. So that will genuinely help you to understand. That helped me a lot when I was training the cross-cultural people.
Before I launch that, I would like Vijayalakshmi to share any closing advice or takeaways from this session. Vijayalakshmi, what are the 2 or 3 things that you would like our audience to take away? And then to close, we'll have our really amazing and incredible program manager, Shambhavi, joining us, sharing some insights and close the session for us. So Vijayalakshmi, over to you now.
Thank you so much, Rang. I think I had the best audience, I would say. The session that we are doing is cross-cultural and we have different cultures here, and that was really helpful. Thank you so much for giving me this platform to speak and to congratulate me as well. You guys can all, just one thing, remember guys, confidence comes from, genuinely it comes from within you. And the best way to develop confidence is manifestation. What manifestation is? Tell yourself, speak to yourself about what positivities that you have. We may say that, we may lack in a lot of things, but nothing should stop us from moving forward, which is exactly why impossible itself says, I am possible. So these language barriers that you feel, it's just you feel. This is something that you can overcome by reading, by talking to people. And we have a powerful internet and technology. So, utilize technology to your advantage. And remember, all of us we are the best versions of ourselves when we are happy.